So Srila Prabhupada, he was still living here in this apartment, and so the devotees were all going to see him at his apartment, and he had these little Radha Krishna deities that he traveled around with, and we were up there one day, and he said, "Is there anybody who would like to? I'd like to have somebody bathe my deities. Is there anyone that would like to do that?" And I just kind of said, "Oh, I will, Srila Prabhupada." I wasn't, Brahmin initiation or anything like that, but that didn't seem to matter at the time. And so, so Srila Prabhupada had me come the next morning, and he came and sat down next to me in front of his deities, and he took Radharani, his little brass Radharani, and he showed me how to polish her. He did it himself. He polished her with that tamarind and Fuller's Earth, I think it was. I can't even remember what it was. I think that's what it was. He did Radharani, and then he took Krishna, and he handed Krishna to me, and he said, "Now you do Krishna." So I polished Krishna, and then he showed me how to bathe the deities, and he asked me to come every morning to do that. So I did that while he was here in New York, and sometimes he was in the room, and other times he'd go out on his morning walk while I was doing that. And then us devotees, we went back to Boston, and Prabhupada came. I can't remember exactly whether it was immediately after New York or a little, it was. He came to Boston, and I took care of his deities there in Boston. And during that time, Satsvarup said to Prabhupada that he was concerned about the women in the temple because they were all fighting with each other a lot. And Prabhupada said, "Well, they should be married." He said, "Immediately arrange that they should all get married." And there was four of us women. It was me, Saradya, Rukmini, and Janava. And so this is just to show you how involved Srila Prabhupada was at that time. He was very personally involved with his disciples. So Saradya and Vaikuntanath, I think that was already, they knew they were going to be getting together. Isn't that right, Vaikuntanath? And Prabhupada had some brahmacharis come down from Montreal, and Janava got fixed up with Nandakishore, and Rukmini and Bharadwaj. And then Prabhupada said that I should marry this young man named Dayal Natai. And I didn't want to marry him. I went through this whole, I don't know, he didn't seem right, somehow or other. I didn't feel right about it. And I was very upset because Srila Prabhupada said this is what should happen. You should marry him. And I was like going up on this hill and praying to Krishna and crying. I was really freaked out about it. And Satsvarup told Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, "Well, nothing is by force in Krishna consciousness. And if she doesn't want to get married now, then she can get married at some later date." So then everybody got married except for me. And the whole temple changed all of a sudden. It was just this small temple in Boston, and everybody was married. And then there was one brahmachari, Devananda, who had been there. He was still there. Otherwise, it was all couples and me. So then I started feeling really out of place, and I was praying to Krishna, "Send me a husband." So Prabhupada left, and he went on his travels, and he ended up eventually in Columbus, Ohio, and I think it was maybe about 2 months later. I've kind of lost track of the exact time, but anyhow, Purushottam, Prabhupada's servant, called up one day the Boston Temple, and he said, Prabhupada wants to know if you want to come here and marry Pradyumna. And I said, okay. And so I went off and got to Columbus. I just met Pradyumna once before. And then when I got there, it had turned out that Prabhupada's deities had been lost, and while he was traveling, somehow the deities had got lost and had gone missing for a number of weeks. And on the day that I arrived in Columbus, the deities came back too. And so Prabhupada said to me, the deities like the way you serve them, so they have come back. Now that you are here, they have come back also. So I got to bathe his deities again, and I'll stop there.
Je anilo